Hi guys, today we're looking at an introduction to the develop persona for raw images in Affinity Photo on the iPad. It's an Affinity Photo tutorial, works equally well on the Mac and on the PC, although the commands obviously are in a slightly different place. So let's get right into it. In today's tutorial, we'll look at the process of developing raw photos. Now if you've got a camera, and most cameras do take raw images, be it your Android, your iPhone, your iPad, and plain cameras, or shall we say, not so much plain cameras, but things like, Canons and Sonys and all those things, a proper digital camera. If a supported RAW file format is opened in Affinity Photo, it will automatically display in Develop Persona. You can then process the image using the dedicated adjustments, studios and tools. This is a step-by-step look at the options available, beginning with the basic options, and these are the ones focused on in this tutorial, with examples where possible. Processing raw images gives you full control of how the finished image looks. Landscapes, cityscapes, night photography, portraits all benefit from careful use of the developer tools, and it just takes moments to bring what is an otherwise, oh, I wish I'd never taken that photo, what went wrong, back to life and turn it into a lovely photo for your collection. So some of the considerations. If you want to ensure your images are not pre-processed at all, you can disable all pre-processing in the preferences. To remove the pre-processing from a raw image, change the develop options available in the Develop Assistant. That's in Preferences, and go to the Assistant options, and all your preferences are in there. You can turn everything off. There is a little bit of pre-processing goes on, but not much. Nothing that you'd ever notice. Here you can remove all pre-processing, although for general use I'd recommend leaving some. If you choose not to apply initial develop settings, your images will not undergo any processing before you load them up. They may indeed look flat, dull in tone and lacking contrast, but you'll have absolute control in how the image is processed. This approach is similar to log video footage that maintains maximum dynamic range before colour grading. Excuse me. Some of the following settings in that options are switching the RAW engine, RAW output colour format, RGB 32 is a good one if you're doing very high resolution images, the RAW tone curve, exposure bias and default map region. These are some of the options you can leave on or off in that options panel. However, let's get right to setting our options. When a supported RAW file format is opened in Affinity Photo, it will automatically display in Develop Persona. You can see up in the top left-hand quadrant there that I've opened the flower in RAW format, and it tells me up the top that it's a RAW image. Excuse me again. Develop Persona gives you access to the following: tonal adjustment using the basic and tone studios, sharpening and noise adjustments using the Details Studio, lens correction adjustments using the Lens Studio, overlays for applying adjustments to specific brushed image regions, and the crop tool for cropping your image, blemish removal tool for correcting image imperfections. There might be a spot of dust somewhere you want to get rid of, and the metadata studio for GPS location and AF region display. At any point while working with an image or any selected pixel layer, you can select to develop persona to make use of its unique features. In other words, you can have a PNG or JPG file open and you can switch to develop mode. Doesn't have to be a raw image. That's pretty cool, but we won't cover that here. Now, the basic studio, which is where we're working, provides standard adjustments which can be applied to an image. The available adjustments are exposure. It adjusts the overall exposure of the images, changes black point and overall brightness. How many times have you taken a photo and it's almost a whiteout? You think, oh, overexposed. Why did I do that? Enhance, you can adjust the contrast, clarity, saturation and vibrance. 4 options there. The white balance removes undesirable colour casts from a photo by adjusting the temperature of the light. Have you been taking photos beneath a fluorescent tube? You'll know all about white balance. The default value is as shot white balance setting from your camera. Shadows and highlights. Apply tonal adjustment to the darkest and or lightest areas in a photo. Use that one carefully because while it can bring up some areas, it can also drop out other areas. Reset sets adjustment sliders back to default, and active or inactive when enabled, the adjustment is applied to the image. That's when you see the adjustments down the right hand side. Now note from the top there, the white balance adjustment can be set automatically using the white balance tool. We may not cover that in this video. In more detail, what we're doing here is looking at your basic photography and how to quickly use the raw processing and get used to it. Exposure adjustment alters the overall exposure of the image, good for correcting overexposure, underexposure, or for giving an image a high key or low key look. Let's have a look, shall we? In this image, I've dropped the exposure just a fraction to minus 1.15, and you can see the before and after there. You can see the slider on the right hand side there, it's minus 1.15. And the before is quite bright, the standard photo, but after it's slightly darker. The image is still quite clear, but slightly darker, underexposed or low key. This is excellent if you have an image that is somewhat overexposed. High key or overexposure, maybe you have a photo that's underexposed, and we all have them. Lovely photo of the flower, but very dark. Load the image and simply raise the exposure slightly. Now I've taken the very underexposed image and brought it to life. Perfect. So of course we also have overexposed images. Let's see. You can see the exposure of the raw image. As loaded, it's 0. Let's fix it, shall we? It's obviously overexposed. The background's very, very bright. The flower itself is not so good. Reduce the exposure to minus 1.3, and just to darken the shadows a little against the shallow depth of field, I raise the black percentage, the next slider, to 4%, and it's just darkened the tones in the flowers and the leaves, sharpened up the timbers in the background, but they won't sharpen completely because they're slightly out of focus. It's a very shallow depth of field for that image. Now this is 1 or 2 easy steps and you've now got yourself some nice usable images by simply using exposure and black point. It's a really useful one-touch tool is Enhance. So turn it on with the little on-off switch there. To really sharpen up the colours and edges, there are a few easy adjustments to make. Turn on Enhance, and I've set the 4 sliders to 15, 25, 22 and 20. And it's really brought the flower to life. And you can see by the sliders there what it's controlling. Contrast, clarity, saturation and vibrance. Very nice. Now it's emphasising the flower, but it's also brought up the greens of the leaves. Brought the whole thing to life. So far, I haven't touched the develop button in the context toolbar yet, and you can see it there. But that's looking pretty good. You can see the original flower on the before and the current flower on the after. If these are the only options you use, you'll find all those images you thought were rubbish are really great shots, and you can have a good deal of fun bringing them back to life. When you're happy with your work, tap Develop in the context toolbar. Export your image, and that's it. Now, you wouldn't use develop if you're doing happy snaps, pictures of the family at Christmas time, blah blah blah, the usual things, pictures of the dog racing around the floor. But if you're outside trying to take photographs of flowers, you want them in a display, landscapes, you want to do a portrait of your friend, and you want it to look really artistic and nice, then the develop persona really is your friend. So, thanks for watching. I hope you find it useful and gets you started on the develop persona. It's a very powerful tool as you delve into it, but to start with, all you need is to sharpen up those old photos you had. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would. Click on the thumbs up for a like and the bell to be reminded when new videos appear. I really appreciate it.